Good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy here, in for Brittany Van Voorhees. I'm looking at comments already, and Derek Hall, before we even started, said, "Hi, Britt." Well, Derek, Brittany will be back tomorrow, I assure you. So sorry for that disappointment, but it's good to be here, by the way. That's Derek Hall that said hello to Britt, and I'll pass the message on to you. And it is great to be here. I love being back on this show. By the way, I did this, if you didn't know, pretty much for about 3 to almost 4 years here in the Charlotte area. And this is a great show, great time in the morning because I get to start off your weekend, especially when you have a forecast like this. So let's get right to it. So this morning we dropped down to 61 degrees, and normally you hit your low temperature right as the sun is rising up or shortly afterwards. That's the bottom before we start to warm up, and then the solar radiation, the sunlight starts to crank up Mother Nature's thermostat. Well, today's different. A cold front sometimes can drag in colder air by the end of the evening, and that's your low temperature. So it's kind of a shock and out of the system. If you have any evening plans, expect it to be about 10 degrees cooler than what we've been used to over the last few weeks. So right now we're looking at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The time is 9:55 at the time of this recording. That camera's shaking a little bit. The American flag, Old Glory, completely horizontal right now, showing how breezy it is. And that's what you can expect through most of the day. So in the 60s, that's still enough to create a little bit of a wind chill. And as Derek Hall just said, it feels good. And I totally agree with you. We've been in the lower to the mid 80s for our high temperatures for the better part of 2 weeks now, certainly over the last 7 days. But now we're going to start to hit some of that fall-like weather, much cooler conditions. But the big thing about today that you're going to notice is the breeze. This is a quick time lapse going through the winds. You're noticing getting up to about 15 to 25 mile per hour winds throughout the weekends. I think it's a little bit lighter by about 5 miles per hour by tomorrow. But then notice the mountains even by late tomorrow. Wind gusts at 30 to 40 miles per hour. This isn't going to ruin fall foliage, but it is going to take a few leaves off the trees. So keep that in mind. All in all, I'm liking where our forecast is trending. It's going to be cooler because those winds filtering out of the northwest, and lows tonight are going to be absolutely bone chilling. I hate to see the big difference here, but it's great for doing anything outside, such as the Charlotte Dice 4th annual pumpkin patch. Starts at 11 o'clock, but it's different this year. This year we have an 11 to 11 time slot at Truist Field because they're having the Mecklenburg County or Mecklenburg Oktoberfest, and that goes pretty much all day, and it's perfect. Yeah, it's going to be a little breezy, but the key about being in uptown is sometimes the buildings will block that. So perfect for picking a perfect pumpkin. Maybe you're doing it in uptown at Truist Field. You can also do it over in Kannapolis. And then I know personally, we're going to be heading down to Bush and Vine. That's one of my favorite places in York County. So let's talk about things to do this weekend. The Fort Mill Scarecrow Crawl. This is pretty cool. The weather's so great, I have to tell you some advice of things to do. Downtown Fort Mill, this is really any day of the week that you can do this through October 31st. There's 150 scarecrows down there. So they're all hanging out in Fort Mill, and this is all leading up to the Fort Mill Fall Festival that's October 21st. Mecklenburg Oktoberfest, I already mentioned that. It's 11 to 11 at Truist Field. Yeah, the 4th annual Charlotte Nights Pumpkin Patch, and then that goes until 4 o'clock, and then a bunch of other activities are going along with that. And then the last one, there's a bunch of Oktoberfests all going around. It is October, so Prost. A big festival. This is the 4th time they've done this at Atrium Health Ballpark. The Cannonball is, of course, done with their season, so they have a bunch of fun events there. Today, it's 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., but they have a petting zoo from 2 to 6. That sounds awesome. Maybe I'll try to take JT there, and it's from noon to 5 tomorrow. High temperatures today, 71. The average is 76, so it's only a hit by about 5 degrees. By the way, Joy writes in, we're expecting a low of 39 in Wisconsin tonight. Well, Joy, what's interesting is we actually could have some cooler lows here in the Charlotte area. We could be as low as 38 up into the mountains, but then even on Monday morning, wouldn't be surprised if areas like Hickory hit 39 degrees on Monday morning. So it's a big shock and out of the system. This isn't necessarily cold if you balance it out where we're potentially going. But when you've had highs in the 90s for a few months, and then you got used to the lower to the mid 80s, 71 with a breeze is going to feel cool. 66 is going to feel quite cool. The 40s in the morning certainly are going to feel that cool. Derek Hall, I need half of your energy, Chris, and the weekend will be fabulous. Sometimes it's too much. I talk fast. I understand. But thanks for joining me with the energy. Here's the energy, guys. Take it with me. Take it from me. I don't need all this sometimes. Um, we are looking at a big difference. So this morning we dropped down to 61 degrees. That's not our technical low as I went over. Tomorrow morning, 43 degrees. I always love to leave you with a weather stat. This will be the coldest low that we've had since May 4th in the Charlotte area, where we hit 44 degrees. So that is 156 days ago. Who's counting, right? But that kind of brings you into perspective where May is very similar to October, where we're, of course, just heading the opposite direction. And October is the month that we really have to get used to the 70s. Personally, this is my favorite month. The 70s with sunshine, we have multiple days like that. A study was actually done that it's ideal for human comfort. 43 degrees overnight is not ideal. There is going to be, I think, a harsher breeze the further you go up in the mountains. So that's going to inhibit a little bit of frost. But look at 36 degrees in Boone. That is going to be a big change. Big Justin S. just wrote in on YouTube. It feels like October today. It does. And tonight, it will feel almost like November for some. 31 degrees in Banner Elk. I think the rule of thumb is if you live above 4,000 feet or close to, freezing is going to be a possibility. Of course, it's 32 degrees, but the mid 30s looks like that's going to be rocking and rolling up in the mountains. So that's why there's going to be our first frost advisory of the season. You have a frost advisory and a freeze warning that will pop up periodically during the growing season. So they're still within the growing season for October up in the mountains, where the average first frost, by the way, is October 5th. So pretty much right on schedule. Charlotte typically doesn't see theirs until the end of October to early November sometime. So we're not anywhere close to the 30s for the Charlotte area. So that's always good news. There's that frost advisor, goes from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. Oh, saying words like frost and freeze, chilly. Not used to it, but I'm not mad about it. I think one of the coolest things about living in the Carolinas is we have the seasons. So you got to enjoy the seasons as we have it. Let's move on. Graphics taking their time. Tomorrow is the Roval 400, especially on the weekends. There's so much going on this weekend, guys. If you live here in Charlotte, or even if you don't, and you have a decent forecast, it's feeling like fall, do things fall. This is your time. Sometimes when you're trying to pick pumpkins and it's 90 degrees, you feel like you're being a faker slime. Why would you want to do that? When you're picking pumpkins in the lower to the mid 70s, it feels just right. When you're picking pumpkins in the 60s, of course. So if you're going to the Roval 400, it's going to be a blast. Previous years, it's been much hotter. Last year was actually very similar to this range, but it's sunny, mid 60s. Will be breezy from time to time. If you're in the shade, that's chilly. So you have to dress accordingly. But bringing up the history of the Roval 400, it's only happened 5 years. So this was an easy, shallow dive into the weather data. The warmest one they had was September 29th, 2019. I personally was there with my wife. It was very hot. We went to the Chris Lane concert beforehand. With that black tar, it was unbearable. Charlotte actually hit 95 degrees that day. This is all the data from the local Concord airport. But look at last year, 67 degrees. And there's only been one time over the last 5 years, and it will be 1 out of 6, including this year, that it's rained. It was anywhere from 1.5 inches to close to 3 inches of rain across the area on October 11th, 2020. That was a very active tropical season. So we had a bunch of activity going through some leftover tropical systems that were rolling through there. Feeling a lot like fall. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. Derek Hall is outie. Good to have you guys. If you have any questions, it's been Big Justin, Derek Hall, Joy, all writing in here. So it's great to have you. Hey, sometimes no one writes in, and it's lonely. So it's great to have you guys. That spotty rain chance today, get out of here. I only have that from the rain that we saw earlier. It's done. The rain's done for the day, guys. Sunshine all day long. I already showed you that camera. Dry, dry, dry. Sunday through Tuesday. Then we start to increase the clouds on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, I think, are going to be elevated rain chances. I think our best chances as of right now, Wednesday night, Thursday, and then again Friday into the weekend. I mentioned the pumpkin patch forecast. How'd this pop up? This is a repeat. Come on, this is what happens when you're on YouTube. Things are out of order. But the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast should pop up. There it is. There we go. All right, technology's back on my side. Tomorrow is the bottom. Today, I think, is glorious. My pick of the week, I always love to do that. Pick of the week is going to be on Tuesday. It's near perfect conditions, mid 70s. The study that I was talking about earlier, ideal human comfort is anywhere from 75 to 77 degrees. Dew points are behaving with relative humidity, making relative humidity about 50%, a light breeze with sunny skies. That is ideal for comfort. So that's why I'm going to call Tuesday my pick of the week. And hold on, sometimes on the noon show, if you guys ever catch me there, whenever we talk about the pick of the week, you always have to go about this way. So I'm delaying right now. So Tuesday's going to be the pick of the week. DJ air horn. After that, we're seeing those clouds that are increasing on Wednesday. Wednesday night to Thursday, as I mentioned, our next chance for rain. But we're back to the 70s. We should be in the mid 70s during that stretch of October. Heading into next weekend, I got to preview something. The annular eclipse, or also known as the Ring of Fire eclipse, we're not going to see that Ring of Fire for the solar eclipse next Saturday, but it's October 14th that we'll see a partial eclipse here. Never look directly at the sun. Hopefully everyone knows that by now. But there should be some clouds, so I don't think it's going to be completely blocked, but letting you know that that's a pretty cool event. So 50% of the sun is going to be covered up by the moon. I actually have a YouTube short on that on our Weather IQ YouTube page, and my Weather IQ this week is going to be fully on that eclipse and also the next full solar eclipse that is going to be the Great American Eclipse that happens April 8th, 2024. That's it. We talked about a lot. We talked about pumpkins, the great weekend, fall weather, frost advisories, and then, of course, the upcoming eclipse. Guys, you are amazing. We really do appreciate the love that you give us. Derek Hall's been active here. Says, love to catch you all when you go live. I appreciate you. And, I appreciate each and every one of you. Those who are commenting after 10:06 will not be able to get a response from me because this chapter is about to end. Brittany's going to be back tomorrow. And I, of course, will be back with Larry and Brad and everyone next week. Thanks for joining us on Facebook, on YouTube. You all are the best. And do me a favor, make it an epic weekend. You deserve it. It's great weather for it. Take care, y'all.